Hello and welcome. This is the first episode for the additional content series as part of the BuildASoil 10x10. And one of the things that we've realized is that a lot of people spend a lot of money on seeds, and that a lot of people should be making their own seeds because the results are really, really good, but we've noticed that people are really scared of it. So for this additional content, what we'd like to do is show you how to make your own seeds, basically pollen chucking. So we're not doing any breeding. I don't have thousands of plant numbers. I can't select for specific characteristics and lock them down in a short period of time. We're all collectors, and so a lot of times we can kind of jump and spend money on certain packs because of a certain name. I was talking to Coot earlier about this. He mentioned that for him, even for some of the original crosses that he made, it was about the LOTD, the luck of the draw. And it's exciting. There's something to it. It's opening Pandora's box. And we want to show you how you can safely collect male pollen in your grow room or near your grow room in a small setup without risk of pollinating your regular crop. And then how you can then properly store that pollen and how you can now put that onto your own female plants to make your own unique crosses. And to do that, we want to make our own cross to start to work with. And we're not going to sell seeds. We're not creating a breeding company. We're not breeders. We're not experts. We're just making some head stash seeds just like I always would. But instead of keeping it a secret, we're going to share it with you. I hope to kind of lift the veil on the secrecy from how to keep pollen around your grow. I think a lot of people hear that pollen can pollinate a female from a mile away and that there's no way they could breed. I know a lot of buddies that'll give a male that they find in a pack to a buddy that doesn't grow, have him kind of keep it alive, collect the pollen over there. But we're going to show you a way right here in the BuildASoil store to collect pollen, and then we're going to use that to make our own cross. Then we're going to grow that cross out in the future and use that as parental stock to pollinate any of the different varieties that we're using in our 10x10 series and show you how to do that. To me, it's rewarding, it's fun, it's practically free. Once you've gotten your initial flavors selected for, you can actually start to go within your own seeds and find your favorite characteristics from what you chose to cross. Once you've gone a certain direction with it, then you can open it up to other flavors, packs that you might buy from other breeders or other friends that make seeds. And once you make your own seeds, it's fun to barter. Give them away as gifts, share them with your friends, barter with other breeders. And I feel like behind the scenes, this is what growers have been doing for decades. I've got a few seeds that I brought in today that I want to share with you the story of. And I want you guys to make some of the original selections, but I want to share with you one of the selections that we're going to use because of its history and relationship to BuildASoil and how BuildASoil started. So let me just start some of the story behind that. And the rest of this episode today is just conversation about seeds. I want to bring up maybe a vote on in the future which seeds we might be using. I've got thousands of packs of seeds that we could choose from, but what I want to do is make something that has some story from my past with it, because this is all for me. And then eventually, as we grow different things that we vote on in the 10x10, we vote on that, and then I take what's my favorite and I show you how to make 10 seeds, 100 seeds on a branch so that you can continue to add to your own vault. You do not have to be a breeder. To me, a breeder is someone who understands Mendelian genetics, who understands filial generations, who understands what it takes to outcross and backcross and all of these things. And that effort is highly focused on selecting and locking down particular characteristics that the breeder likes. But what I found is that takes oftentimes thousands of plants to do properly, and most breeders aren't doing that. Well, some are, and I really respect them. There's a lot of seeds that I buy from other pollen chuckers where I know they don't have a huge mom stock. They don't have thousands of plants they're running through, but I trust their taste, and they have access to interesting genetics that I don't have access to. In much that way, a lot of the seed world is run. It's kind of a private group of people that have friends of certain cuts, and they make those seeds and other people want to buy them. And let's just unlock the mystery. Let's make your own seeds. I'll show you how to do it. And I think when you're done, if you make your own seeds, they're things that you like, and you got to pop those seeds, you're going to be blown away with the vigor from living soil grown plants, pollinated, and then grow those seeds from your own living soil, sort of in your terroir, so to speak. Your own grow tent is going to unlock certain genetic profile, and then you're going to make your own seeds in your own method and keep that same method when you grow the seeds back. I think it's really worthwhile. So let's get started on talking about seeds. The first pack that I want to talk about is just a Ziploc bag, and it's named LVRK. Some of you know where I'm going with this already. Long Valley Royal Kush. And the story behind this goes pretty deep. So in 2015, this is when Kevin from Rootwise and I started working together, and this is before this grow that was the original Long Valley in-cross that he'd made, as well as some other genetics. But he was using the first round of living soil built by BuildASoil with Malibu in it, following some of the old Coots recipes, and then using his biology on it that became the Rootwise series of products, and some other techniques. But before that happened, we had visited the Emerald Cup together in 2015, and a number of other years together. But in 2015, it was kind of a special year. Unfortunately, Ross Truth had passed away, and Kevin had been growing those Long Valley genetics for a while. We went to the Emerald Cup, and he and I would sneak in like early, pretending like we're helping setting up booths, and then we would just hang out in the cannabis area all day, because at that point you had to be like either Prop 215, you had to like get a wristband, and since we were from Colorado, and we're just like, okay, let's just sneak in. So we did, and then we didn't want to leave back to the regular area because then we'd have to go back through the security check. So we just basically hung out there all day buying every seed we could possibly buy, and then eventually we'd go back and check out the rest of the booths and hope we could get back there later. And part of that story was that we went to a booth. There was a vendor selling seeds, and it was in honor of Ross Truth that year passing away. I grabbed a pack of the Mandelbrot, which was the Royal 8, and it was named after him. And I actually donated directly to the, I believe it was a GoFundMe. I still have the email, but I donated a pretty significant amount to the GoFundMe for Ross Truth for the funeral. And that was how I got the seeds. I showed proof that I'd done that. I got the seeds from there. And then when I came home, I thought, you know, these are so special. I'm now learning really about the history here. I want to make sure I preserve these. So when I grew them out, I had a 4x8 grow tent, and I picked my favorite female, and I picked 2 males, and I just did a pollination run. And I preserved those seeds, and I still have some of them. I call them the Mandelbrot. And so then Kevin from Rootwise, at a certain point, he was really growing a lot of the Long Valley, and he wanted to grow that Mandelbrot, the Royal Kush. And so he took the seeds that I gave him, and I may mess this up in specifics. We'll talk about it in detail later, but he took some of the seeds. He took his Long Valley Incross, where he had been growing for a while, and it was selected more towards the sour diesel, the taller plants out of those packs, not the shorter ones. And there was a reason why, in particular, he was told to look for that. And then we took the Royal 8, the Mandelbrot, and he took that pollen, or he took his own males from my seeds, and he did a cross with 3 males to his selection of Long Valley, and that was a one and done, one-time deal, never done again. And he gave me some of those seeds as a thank you for giving him the Mandelbrot. And at that point, I tucked these away. Now, in going forward, I've given a few of these out to some customers as well as to some employees. I've grown some for myself, and I've actually given some back to Kevin at a future point that he used again to do some breeding on. And eventually that led to the Canyon Queen, Stone Jack Baller, a few other ones that are out of the Rootwise line, which you guys may not even know he breeds seeds. He's not really in the scene like that. He makes his own, and some people have gotten access to him. And because of that whole story and how we connected, I feel really a part of this, and so I want to grow these. And I'm going to look for males and females out of here. We're going to keep the absolute best males and keep it as a male keeper. And then I'll take the female as well, and we'll make a cross. Those seeds will be our first parent stock, so to speak, like our first cross that we'll be using in the future to search through, as well as to cross from. And it's going to take a long time. I can't plant thousands of seeds. I can't document increased plant counts, so I might do some Farmer Freeman DNA testing at some point to narrow things down. We might show you some tricks. But either way, I'm going to do it like you should do. I'm going to look for what I like. I'm going to select that. I'm going to either pollinate that or collect pollen from it. And I'll show you how to safely collect the pollen in a similar area as your regular grow without ruining it. I think it's going to create some really good seeds for myself. And I think in a decade, I'll look back and say, man, I'm really glad I started that project for myself, as opposed to, man, I wish I had started that project. It's just really that easy. Instead of throwing the males away, you start to select for them. Now, a lot of us are hesitant because we think, well, I can't grow 1,000 males and pick the best one. I don't even know what to look for. Well, neither does your favorite breeder most of the time. Some of the breeders, they've got a knack for this, and they've been doing it for a long time, longer than I've been even growing. And a lot of times those breeders make the stock that other people buy, and it's almost like, just like in horse races, right? Or in horse breeding, that stud, right, is what people pay millions for. So we're gonna be looking for our own stud. We're gonna be looking for our own favorite female. And then the goal will be to cross those, keep those, teach you in the future about terms that we're going to be pulling from the breeder books and talking to other breeders about, like what really is an outcross and a backcross, and what is a filial generation, and what does parental stock look like, and what are we seeking out when we go to make crosses. Now, we're not experts at all, but we're decent at doing research. I've made enough of my own seeds to know the basics of how to do this, and I feel like I can pass the torch. I can share it with you. Not all breeders are using high plant counts to really seek out something special and bring it to market. Other times it's just about that famous name of the year, so to speak, crossed to everything, and they sell lots of seeds. But I want to bring those discussions out as we continue this series, as we collect pollen, as we make them in the future and see what the seeds hold. So today is just the very beginning. Besides these seeds, I want to bring out and talk about the rest now, because I want to bring you in sort of as like the viewers here into voting on some of this stuff. So for sure, I'm going to be popping these LV RKs before it gets too long. You now know the backstory between Kevin and I. Also, 2015, that year is the first year I bought my first truck of Malibu compost. Kevin and I from Rootwise were hanging out. We're talking to Randy at Malibu, and Kevin was able to connect some dots where somebody that he had known growing up became a biodynamic prep maker and moved out of the little town that he was growing in. And somehow, because she was very good at what she did, Randy had connected to her, and she was the one making the original biodynamic preps that were going into the Malibu compost. And because that story came full circle, we felt connected there. And so we bought the first truckload and decided to make, instead of the Coots with Oli mountain fish compost, we made it with Malibu. And then there's been a lot happened since then, but that was that first year. And then that year is the year that Kevin grew in that LOS with the Malibu in there, including his own products. And so much of this is full circle. Now next, I have some seeds that I'm excited about. I just got these in the mail. And if you're following along, I think actually Boneyard Seeds, Toad, he turned me on to AG Seed Company, Authentic Genetics. And I'll pull his card out here. So this is the company. You can just go there right now and check out the seeds. They've got some really cool stuff. Mel Frank, Todd McCormick. And on each seed that you select on, they've got like the provenance. They've got the story about how they got access to the seeds. And so these that I got back for fun, partially for this project, is the Northern Lights number 5 original. And so these are a repopulation. You can go to this seed company and click on Northern Lights number 5 and see the story about it. They've also got Northern Lights number 2. They've got some original haze. They've got the skunk 1. They've got a whole bunch of the colors of cannabis, they're calling it, so that you can get the original building blocks before they've been reduced, so to speak. So these would be like the primary colors that you can make anything out of, where further down the line, you've already got some crazy color. It's harder to cross and make new colors out of. But when you've got the primary colors, you can make anything there is in existence. And a lot of the highly selected, sought after genetics that have all the fruit names and dessert names, they came from somewhere. And so a lot of us are wanting to go back to those building blocks to do our own selections about what we're looking for. That's part of why I have these. So I thought maybe we could pop these and make our first cross, a Long Valley Northern Lights, and then just use those to run in the future to do some pollination on whatever we run in the 10x10. Alternative to that, we can do many things, but I do want to pop these. I will be popping these regardless. Might be part of this project, so we can discuss that. Besides those Northern Lights, I've also got some other seeds that have some story related to us, so to speak, that I like. So Coastal Seed Company, we visited at the Emerald Cup several years in a row, and they had some landrace genetics that I really liked and I picked up. I just opened this. This is the Panama Red, and so we could pop some Panama Red. Not quite as specific. You know, these are seeds from a region, so to speak. I don't know as much about Panama Red. I know probably Colombian types from that era. And so Panama Red might be interesting. I've also got a half a pack. I already ran some of these in the past, but this is the Dread Bread. And this is from Bodie. This is from his Supernatural Selections. And this is a new seed company that started on some of his landrace stuff. And this was the seed pack number 1. His first release was the Mango Beach OMG. And I thought, you know, if we're unlocking some stuff, it'd be fun to use Bodie, who really contributed a lot. So many growers that grow in living soil grow Bodie seeds, and it's because he seeks out land races, crosses them to some newer ones, a lot of what we're talking about doing. And he's got just good vibes. A lot of people swear by his genetics, so that could be really fun. Other land racy stuff. So let's see, I've also got from Coastal, Cague's Durban Landrace number 7. So some landrace Durban Poison. That could be really fun, getting something narrow leaf like that with that haziness. And so that we could cross into. But a lot of times when we make a cross that's longer flowering, a lot of times we'll cross it to something shorter flowering or whatever our goal might be, right? And so we're gonna have to come up with what we're looking for eventually. But in the beginning, it's sometimes fun just to make a cross and see what happens. So there's some more landracy style stuff. And then I also had just random, I wanted to pop some of these old seeds from South Fork Seeds. I bought also at the Emerald Cup. Kush Cleaner. Chem Dog. I just remember this jar was pretty loud. I'm almost positive the Kush Cleaner helped with that Chem Dog back cross 3, but that could be fun. I've just been wanting to pop it. I've got like thousands of seeds, so maybe we don't go this direction. I've got several other by South Fork. Maybe we stay land racy. Then I have like this Beefcake D. I've been really wanting to pop some Dominion seeds. And the reason why I like this is I really like the Chem Dog D. This is a Chem Dog D figure 4. cross. And I just expect some fuel out of here. You know, it's Airborne G13, Skelly hash plant, SSSC. So I'd have to actually look up what that is and get the full lineage. But I've been sitting on this thinking, man, I really want to pop this, the Beefcake D. And maybe that would be good parent stock for us to work with. I really like fuel. I like the ChemDog D. We've got something in seed form from a good breeder. That might be worthwhile. I've also got a couple packs of seeds that were made by a buddy of mine, Kooko. And so the story here is, same year I got some of these seeds from Coastal, I grabbed a pack of Ohana. And at that time, it wasn't named Ohana yet. It was just Green Crack, Big Sur Holyweed. And Green Crack, it's also called Kush with a C. You may have seen it. People don't like the name. There's certain cuttings of it that people really swear by and really, really like that profile, where others just hate the name that it's got crack in it. And so they named it Ohana. And that was their cross of the Green Crack and the Big Sur Holyweed. And it turned out phenomenal. In fact, a couple people grew it. And here's one by another buddy, Surfed Out. And he grew that Green Crack, Big Sur Holyweed from Coastal. And this was in 2015, I believe. Yeah, December 5th, 2015, that photo was. And it's just beautiful. And so that I grew. We actually had some really good selections of it. And I didn't grow it again, but I gave some of the seeds to a buddy. He grew them out and he crossed it to what he was running that year. And that year was a big Gorilla Glue year. So he made some Gorilla Glue for Ohana, and he calls it the family glue, the Ohana glue. I really like it. It's got some connection personally. It has possibility for some of those terps that I like. Plus it has some older school stuff in it that's already unlocked a little bit. So maybe the Ohana glue is a great way to go. The other thing that he had that year was Grape Ape. Crossed the Grape Ape to the Ohana, and that particular cut that he had was freaking ridiculous. Grape Ape Ohana or the Ohana glue, really thinking those have like a personal story as well and go kind of deep as far as back to 2015 when I got some of the seeds, and then they were bred by a buddy of mine. So what do you think? Should we just start with the Long Valley and the NL5 like I kind of discussed? Should we vote and grab some totally random seeds, buy them from anybody who's got them, whatever you guys vote on, and we'll cross that to the Long Valley? What's the next step? What do you guys want to see? I kind of know what I want to do. But for me, it's more about documenting collection of pollen, showing you how to do it, growing the seeds from those, and then pollinating other plants. Because I want you to really see how easy it is. And if you store things properly, you can keep the pollen around for a long time. You can keep your seeds around for a long time. And when you grow your own seeds that you made that have been cured for a little while, the vigor and health from them is absolutely unbelievable. And there's a lot of growers for a long time that would just make their own seeds every year as opposed to trying to keep clones. And there's a lot of benefit to that for many, many reasons. We're gonna get started one way or another. But right now I'd like to open it up in the comments. Put in here what you think you'd like to see us do. And also mention again, we're not gonna sell these. So there's no way you can buy these. We're not gonna have them available through some breeder or anything. We're just BuildASoil. We're just doing this for fun. I encourage you to do the same thing. Take seeds that you can find out there, take a clone that you have, whatever it is, make your own seeds and maybe go through the process with us. Maybe we can get together at some event and share with each other. But I really just wanna share the information and also talk to other breeders as we go forward about why they would go a certain direction here. Maybe during the content, we show 2 different types of plants we could choose, we could make crosses out of. And we'll kind of explain our selection process and also explain how other people might select. And I think it's gonna open up some really good conversations. First off, what do you think? Do you have any idea about these seeds in particular? Should we open it up to all the other seeds? Or should we just say, hey, let BuildASoil do whatever they want and run with it? I want some input from you guys so that when we're on episode 1, I can say I at least asked that we decided that there was a good direction ahead, because I want to look back, like I mentioned, 10 years from now and say, man, I'm really glad that we did that. And I've got some very interesting seeds for my head stash that started that day when we busted out the camera and said, let's do this. Let's collect the pollen, let's do it all, and let's keep it going year after year after year so we can get some longevity on this series with specifics to the seeds. So thanks, appreciate it. Drop the comments like I said. Subscribe on here, especially because we're going to drop more like this and we'll reveal what you guys voted on, what we thought, and what we're gonna start. And then the next step is we've got to set up the tent. I don't think we're gonna be able to collect pollen and put it on this round number 2. So we're gonna create something separate. Drop a comment, even if you've never dropped a comment before, drop something in here. And what I mean by that is we're not gonna judge you. If you have any variety that you've ever had in your entire life that you thought was phenomenal, share it in here. We can look for anything. We can find a clone only. We can look for any pack of seeds there is. So drop a comment in here, make yourself heard. I'd love to know what you guys would like to see. And I do not want to see 1,000 comments of Blue Dream. Something original, post it up in here, and I promise we'll take it to heart and we'll talk about this conversation before we pull the trigger on making our first cross. And I can't wait to share it with you. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.